Hi, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Wednesday and the Sisters Interview. I'm Shaxi, and I am a Laurel from Ontier, and this is my sister Rifkin, and she is a Knight and a Pelican from Ontier, and a Lion of Ontier. And this month, we are interviewing barons and baronesses, or baronial heads in Ontier that have been the creative thinkers and keeping the kingdom going during this pandemic. And so tonight we have Baroness Disa and Baron Alasdair from Glymm. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you are both artists, and you both do a lot of service. Tell us a little bit about your SCA beginnings. How did you find the SCA, and how did you fall in love with it?
No, you go first.
Your name's on there first.
Okay, all right. Okay. He always does this to me. So it's actually we started pretty close to the same time. I think it was 97. I had some friends that were driving by the Thurston County Fairgrounds in Olympia and saw this really cool thing and pulled in, and I think it was probably Mayfair that they saw in Glymm, and they went and visited, and they thought it was really cool. And when they got home, they said, hey, there's another one of these things happening in a couple of weeks. We should all go. And so for my 17th birthday, my birthday present was my mom made me a dress, gave me a little bit of cash, took me and my friends there and dropped us off for the weekend. So that was my first event. It was June Fair. And yeah, and it was in Paulsbo. It was an incredible weekend. The thing that sticks out most in my mind was that I walked by this big Norse A-frame, and it was open, and you could see inside, and it had this beautiful bed and all these furs and all this stuff. And I just thought, wow, I could never do anything like that, you know? And, but that's really what hooked me. And I've pretty much been playing since then. I played just kind of on the fringe for about 10 years. And then I went to my first ITHRA, and one of my first classes was with Countess E. And she actually sat down with me after that class. And we talked for a long time, and she, told me I should really get involved in my local barony and stuff. And so I went to my first business meeting, or I went to a projects night, and then my first business meeting. And within a month, I had my first office, and the next project night was held at my house. So I jumped in pretty deep, pretty quickly after that. So yeah, that's where I started, was here in Glymm. Well, technically, I guess in Dragon's Lair, but yeah.
So I have been a fantasy and sci-fi fan for quite some time. I started playing D&D in like 6th grade and played it all through grade school, high school. I moved to Arizona, and some of my friends came with me, and we found more gamers. And at the time also cons and BBSs were a big thing, if that dates me a little bit there. And I met some friends through the BBS that were, in similar circles. And one year they're like, oh, you got to come see this thing. This is really cool. It's kind of like D&D, but it's live. So, we'll put you up. We'll find a place. Just bring a sleeping bag, and we'll help you make some clothing for it. We'll make you some costumes, and we'll go. So, and this is in Arizona at the time. So you might kind of get an idea where this is going. They take me out, and there is this just ginormous spread of people in tents and things. And this was like 94, I think. So my very first encounter with the SCA was a Stray of War.
During its like big heyday.
Yeah, it was, as I came to find later, it was like right around the time that a lot of the weirdness started cropping up, and some of the problems with Kaid and Atenveld, but I was no clue. So my very first event, I was in a 3-story purple and orange tent, steel scaffolding, couple on the top, had a hot tub on the ground floor.
Wow.
Not your general SCA origin there. And I was walking with some friends by, and I'm watching people in garb going, these people are crazy. You want to wear plaid? You want to wear kilts? You're nuts. It's too hot for that. And then we walk by the war field. And for those of people who have been to Estrella War, when it was still at Estrella Mountain Park and the broken field out there, we're walking by and they're bringing this guy out on the back of a golf cart with his leg kind of splinted up. He had, I don't know if he broke it or whatever, wearing full armor in the heat. I'm like, these guys are nuts. I would never do that. And yeah, a couple of years later, I got involved with a household really big in Atenveldt called Staghold. And they got me into fighting and helped me actually learn how to do some sewing. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I growing up, if you will, in Atenveldt was a phenomenal thing when you have 3 giant baronies within like an hour of each other. I was really spoiled. And I've just kind of been there, been here ever since through Atenveldt and Alasdair, and then I moved up here in 2005.
And do you make all your own clothes?
Both pretty much do.
He makes his, I make mine generally. Yeah.
I don't do a lot of leather working if I can avoid it. I've made like 2 pairs of shoes and said, cool, that's difficult. I'm going to pay somebody else to do that now.
That's like kind of my rule too, is okay for things like shoes and that kind of thing. It's like, all right, I've made it once. I know how to do it. Now I can have somebody else do that. But
Yeah.
as far as clothing goes,
Mhm.
we pretty much make our own stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. I ask because I've always admired both of you have a very complete look and you pay really close attention to that. And I've always admired that. So I had to ask.
Thank you.
So how did the two of you meet?
So we were, you go for it. I went the first
There
one.
begins a yarn. So at the time we were both married, and I was in the Army. It's what brought me up here, and we needed a babysitter. So we started looking around, and we started out actually living up on base, living in Blathanor, and then we started playing down here in Glymm and got to know some people, and one thing led to another, and Disa ended up being the babysitter for our younger kids.
They had 4 kids. I had 2 kids, and my kids are basically kind of tucked into his kids' ages. So it worked really well for all 6 kids to just hang out together all day long.
So, and then we just kind of struck up a friendship, and there were a few sparks in there that like, well, I like her, but married, so we're not. And then I separated, and she was still married and moved here and moved there, and we just kind of kept bumping into each other over the years. Life would take us here and like there, and then we just bumped into each other until finally, after she had been down in Dragon's Mist for a couple of years, she moved back up here, and we bumped into each other again, and it's like,
that was that. Like, that was it. It was like, yep, okay, it's time for this, and so it's been 6 years,
something
like 6 years.
It's hard to say. I mean, when you've been in a friendship for so long that kind of morphs into it, it's like, well, where exactly did that line change?
Right. I think my daughter was like 2 or 3, and she's 16. So, we've known each other for a very long time. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
It's working out pretty well so far.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, you decided to take on the hardest job in the SCA during a pandemic together. So that's say something.
True. We did do that, though we'd made that decision before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of conversation though on how we were going to do that, as we were kind of waiting for word. But yeah, it was
a long decision. I mean, pretty much our predecessors, Bjorn and Vasilisa, when the polling and their investiture, when they stepped up, and not too long after that, we started talking about the idea. I think it was kind of her idea first, maybe this is something we want to look at doing. And we started talking about it and thinking about, well, what kind of commitments will we need to make? Can we actually commit to doing this?
Yeah, we actually, I mean, we kind of did that year before, we actually did more events than we normally do, kind of thinking about, okay, what level of activity do we need to be able to do here in order to, in order to represent the barony. And so we did
A lot
of events. So yeah.
And then we just never slowed down until this,
And then
screeching
stopped it.
pandemic halt.
We actually had a plan to do 27 events in 2020, and that did not
happen.
so, yeah.
I had big plans for 2022 and no.
Yeah. But you did, even before the pandemic, well, I'm not sure of the timing, but both of you have been teaching online a lot.
So we did, the online didn't start until the pandemic.
Okay.
Basically how that started was
Prior to that, I was here.
what?
Prior to that, you were doing classes here.
Yeah, we were doing a monthly arts and sciences night here at the house, where we would bring, kind of the thought was we wanted to bring people from outside the barony in to teach people how to do different things, and so that people would get to know people. I have to move my mouse. Hang on. There we go. So when the pandemic stopped that, and and kind of all schedules and everything stopped for us, neither of us work outside the home. So it was kind of like, well, for me, it was, I need some sort of schedule. I need something. And, and it was kind of that, I'm sure we all felt that, where you just kind of felt helpless and like you needed to do something. You needed to do something to help people and to, keep yourself sane. And so I started doing the classes. Yeah, we did some of that, but
She
we
was
did
online a lot for like that first 6 months or so.
It's not like I'm not online now, though. I'm still
Slightly
doing so
different.
much, but we did.
It felt like you were like the first person doing that kind of thing in our kingdom anyway.
Yeah.
Did you already have a YouTube channel? Were you already familiar with that technology, or did you just figure it out really quickly?
So I had a YouTube channel. I only had a YouTube channel because I'd done a couple of videos, like how to kind of videos for how to do different posement knots. And those were the only thing on my YouTube channel. And then, and I knew Zoom from work. I used to work for the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction. And through that, as an admin, I was running classes for teachers through Zoom. So I knew that technology. And so I thought, what, this would be a good way to do this, to use this platform and, and do this. And then the other thought was, having people teaching, giving people that opportunity when they're not really comfortable with the technology, right? So I would reach out to people and say, hey, I will host, all you have to do is show up and teach, I'll do everything else. And so, yeah, I just kind of decided that was the right way to go. And it worked. We did. And of course, he's right here. So he's taught more classes than anybody else. I've actually only taught, I think, 3 or 4 classes. You've taught 16, something like that. But then he had his own idea for his woodworking series. So, so that was, so a lot of that was that too. So, yeah. But yeah.
If people want to find the classes, can you just sort of put out your YouTube channel and everything?
Yeah. So it's youtube.com/early Sweden. So yeah, super easy. Everything's Early Sweden. So on Facebook, it's Early Sweden. On YouTube, it's Early Sweden. And on my blog is also Early Sweden. So yeah, cool. And there's 50 classes. We got up to 50 classes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I was just entering that into the chat. So have you kind of slowed down? Did you
Yeah.
slow down on that when you became Baron and Baroness? How did that transition work? No.
So not initially, not initially. Actually, what slowed it down, and actually we haven't done a class since February. Yeah, it was, yeah. Was I actually started homeschooling my daughter full time. And so that kind of took up that brain space, you know.
Yeah.
And we also were starting to get a slowdown on people who had class ideas that they wanted to teach.
Yeah, when you get to 50 classes, it gets harder to find people.
And there's so much content out there now. After a while, everybody started rolling and you know, more and more and more and more that.
And that was the other thing. Yeah, I felt like it's like I went back to one class a week when it started to pick up, when other people started doing stuff. And then I kind of also felt like you know, I could let that go, and other people were doing that, you know, just fine now. So you know, and then we could focus on the bear anymore, because we're still online for the barony. We're still on Zoom
Minimum of 2 nights a week.
minimum, 2 nights a week.
Some nights get up to 4.
Wow.
Some weeks are 4. Yeah.
Thank you for adding a night this week. And thanks to your kids for allowing us to have you for this evening.
They're pretty used to it at this point.
We've only got her 2 in the house right now, and you know, the older is doing college stuff and often things, and the younger is like, I don't have to leave my bedroom. Fine, whatever.
Yay.
It's like my house.
Keep the internet and the unsweetened tea flowing, and she's good.
So, so you actually made the decision to do the baronial gig before the pandemic hit, but you knew that the pandemic was a thing before you actually stepped into the role.
Yes.
Definitely.
How did that change your plans?
Kind of like a right angle followed by a corkscrew and a double gainer. Like Her Excellency has said, when we set out for this, the original timeline that we were looking at was usually Mayfair is the baronial anniversary and usually changeover, and we actually didn't step up until September. So, I mean, we went into 2020 like everybody else. She said we had like 26 events we were going to go to. We had all these plans and everything. We made it to 12th night, we made it to Ursulmus, and then everything crashed down. It really derailed the plans that we had, but not the overall goal. It just kind of forced us to look at new ways to do it, and kind of had to streamline our goals a little bit and rein them in, and maybe not quite as ambitious, and focus on some key points to say, these are the things that are really important to us that we want to get done. And some of these other things will shelve a little bit and try and hit them later if we have time.
Yeah, I feel like for us, the goal this past year has been to keep our community together. But we've actually done more than, we have newcomers. We actually have people who, we have people who started joining us on our weekly socials online, and then we finally got to meet them like in September, and then we finally got to meet them in person in like May, and it was so exciting. You know. But yeah, we actually, that has been our goal more than anything, is just to make sure that people feel
the community is still there.
Yeah, and like they matter, and like they're not alone in this, you know.
We kind of took the chance to focus on some of the other things that you normally don't get a chance to. A lot of the bureaucratic portion of the game, if you will, that normally when you've got events going every weekend kind of gets pushed aside. So things like looking into it and streamlining some of our stuff, going through our governing documents and making sure that, you know, we really, that those were there, and just stuff that's been like not really neglected, but could use a little bit more refinement, and going into that.
Because we had time to do that, kind of. Kind of.
Well, you have all this energy to grow and foster the community, and it's got to go somewhere. So that's a good place for it to go.
Right. And especially when there's that excitement of stepping up, right? There's that excitement of, I mean, this barony, I've been part of this barony all but 3 years of my time in the SCA, and that's not a small amount of time. And so to step up as Baroness was really exciting. It was really surreal to do it while we watched on YouTube. That was a very interesting thing. Like, you step up and then it's like, all right, well, we're here in our living room. What do we do? It's just this weird experience. But
so for people who don't know, Ontier hasn't had live courts. It's all pre-recorded. And so you had to pre-record all of the ceremony for your step up.
Yep. And that's how we've done all of our courts too, actually. We made that decision because for legalities and stuff, we can't record the live courts. So so in order to make it more accessible for people, we decided to do all pre-recorded courts, which means we're a little bit spoiled because all of our courts have been pre-recorded.
Oops, love that line. Let's go real over. Somewhere there are recordings of blooper reels that I hope never see the light of day.
I've got all of it. And I've definitely considered, there's some pretty funny stuff in there, but yeah, it's all been pre-recorded. So it's all like, we've definitely.
Which has had its benefits in addition to that, being able to watch the reveals with people live while we're watching the video. And one memorable moment, we had one of our populists receive an award, and you could tell that they were slightly out of sync with watching with the rest of us, because they're sitting there and, they're kind of looking off a little bit, and they'll see was that my name? And so it gives you a chance to kind of watch those reactions that I'm guessing you don't really get to see in court so much because you're part of the moment.
Yeah.
So did you have Zoom parties where you watched court together so that you could interact?
Yeah.
So
I love that.
So our first court, we didn't do that. Our second court, we did in conjunction with our Yule, our online Yule. And so we all sat together and watched the court. And then for Lyceum, which was, we actually have a new ANS and Bardic champion. We actually did our championships online for ANS and Bardic in April. And that was tricky because we are pre-recorded. And so we had to do, so basically what we did is we recessed and then we did a second section of the court the next day so that we could have the new champions record their bits so that I could edit it all together, because I've also been editing all of our courts together.
Wow.
So but that was really fun because we got to watch everybody alive, and then we got to do that second one where we didn't announce who had won until after that court happened. So so that was really fun.
And we have we've been blessed with a phenomenal court herald who's just been rolling with the punches with all these things for us. It's like, okay, we need this, this, and this. Can you record all that for us?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about how you planned and carried out an online competition? Because I think that is something that I think we need to think more about and be more creative, because if this pandemic really is going to go another 6 months or a year,
Or 2 years.
yeah, whatever.
this one, you know,
Sure. I can, yeah.
Okay.
So I felt like it was really important. If we could do it, we needed to do it. Obviously, we can't do our archery champion, our rapier champion, our heavy champion, but we could do our arts and sciences and our bardic champions. And so we, we basically did, for the bards, they did recordings of performances, And for ANS, we tried to do it in more of kind of an Athenaeum style, where they did submit one item, you know, with documentation and everything. But the conversations that they had with they weren't judges, they were advisors, and with us. So they had conversations with 3 advisors and then with us, right? Or two advisors and then us. And it was really just about really more of kind of a job interview of more, you know, what do you want to do with this position, you know, and getting a feel of.
We're not judging you. We're not determining your worth based on your artistic endeavors.
Yeah.
One of that's something we've both looked at. We've both entered competitions over time, and ANS competitions can be soul crushing when you come out of it and you're just like, oh my God, I thought I did so well. And they were just brutal. They ripped me apart. And we wanted to get away from that, especially on a baronial level, where, you know, I know there are some baronies that view their ANS competitions as like a prelude to Kingdom ANS. And that's not the direction that we wanted to go. We wanted to go with more of a, you know, we're not trying to judge you who's better here. We're trying to decide, as she said, this is a job. Who's going to fit that job best and who's got the best vision for it.
Yeah. And so we actually had an incredible response. We had, was it 5 Bardic entries? 5 Bardic and 4 ANS, or 5 ANS. We had a total of 9 entrants, which was
more than that.
For Glymm was huge. And that was so cool. We used the Bardic performances were added to our afternoon court, so that everybody was able to see those. And then you know, and then we after our one-on-ones with all of the entrants, we talked to the advisors and you know, and then made the decision. It went pretty smoothly, really. I mean, and I don't think it was a negative experience for anybody.
Everyone seemed to come out of it pretty happy with it. At least no
we haven't heard
dissent
anything.
reached us back from it. But yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't super complicated to do, but we also tried to simplify it as much as possible. And it was 1 entry. That was, you know, the other thing is in at baronial level, we feel like 1 entry is
documentation was pretty simple. And give us an idea.
I'm going to follow your lead and I'm going to take this up because
I just like all of a sudden got really hot.
Yeah, it's currently attacking my head.
What your piece is from, where is it from, if it was a historical piece or was it inspired by something, especially for the Bardic. You know, it just, we wanted to make it a more welcoming experience that people would look forward to doing next year or down the road, as opposed to, you know, oh, those guys, I am never doing the competition for them again.
I think 9 entrants is an incredible turnout if it in an in-person event, and for an online community event, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool.
We even had 1 entrant from for ANS from Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Really
Yes,
cool.
the people that really want to have interactions with the SCA will find a way to do it.
Yep. Yep.
That's awesome. What have been some of the great joys doing this online?
Doing it online, I think it's been nice to be able to give people the opportunity. You know, a lot of times travel can be really hard for people, and we have a really big barony. We have the Canton, which is all the way out to Aberdeen and Ocean Shores, and we have a lot of officers out there too. And so, you know, that's over an hour and a half away.
Right.
And so business meetings and socials and all of those things, everybody can make it to. And that has been, for me anyways, that's been something that's really been a joy to see, you know, to see people be able to be more involved, because because it's online.
Some of those limitations of in-person events have been removed.
Mhm.
The cost of travel, the physical toll of traveling for a distance, and people who might not necessarily have come like to a business meeting. You're not going to travel an hour and a half for a half-hour business meeting and then turn around and go back. So people who might never have seen what happens at a business meeting have that option now to go, oh, well, I'm going to tune into this online. I'm going to take a look at it and see what happens.
Mhm.
And kind of the SCA in general has a lot of mysticism built into it. From the top down, the mystery of what happens here. You've got to be in the in club. You got to be a cool kid to know what happens here. And the best thing about the online is it's kind of let us strip some of that away and say, no, okay, we might be, some people's cool kids, but we're all just as big of a geek. And, we all just have this thing here, and come on, we're more than happy to have you come in here. No, we're not all perfect. We all screw up.
Yeah.
And there's room here for you to be involved in this, to get involved as deeply as you want. You want to know how it works? Come on, we'll tell you.
Yeah. But honestly, I think the things that have been the biggest joy are when we've done the traveling. So we actually, after our online course, take a day and travel to everyone's home that received an award and give them that award. And that has been a lot of fun. That's been because no one is seeing anyone, right? And so it's so nice to be able to give people that moment, and obviously we're masked and we social distance. We're very careful.
Yeah.
But that has been, for me, I mean, on some of these trips, like we've said, we have officers, we've officers in Elma and in Centralia and Aberdeen. So it's a long drive.
It's a road trip.
Some of these trips
6 hours.
take 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, but it's so worth it, and it's so much fun. That's really been a lot of fun to get in garb and show up at people's houses to give them these acknowledgments has been so great.
And I'm sure that's a little bit of a soul feed for you to actually see people's faces and have that interaction. That's
been the biggest challenge, has been, there's a lot of output. There's a lot of output, and there's a lot of work, and there's not a lot of that kind of input, and I'm a very social person, and so it's been really hard. He's not as much, but it's so having those moments to be able to see people has been really, really nice.
I will caveat that I'm not an unsocial person, but for one thing, I've got a pretty notable hearing loss.
Yeah.
So anything more than a couple of people becomes a lot of background static. So I've over the years just kind of learned to tune that out and kind of do my own thing. And a lot of people have taken that to be antisocial. Yeah. But it's usually just, I just can't hear what you're saying. So after a while, it gets frustrating.
He's actually the funny one. He's super snarky. And he's the word guy. He actually has written all of the words for our awards. He's the one that writes all of the stuff that we post. He's the one that does all of that. I do the interacting because I can hear.
She's the pretty one. She gets out there, and I just stay in the background, trying to avoid the spotlight.
I'll be the face. He's the words.
I don't have hearing loss, but I do have a neurodiversity where I hear everything. And so when it's more than 3 or 4 people, I hear all of these conversations at once, and it's totally overwhelming. And so I come off as antisocial too, because I need small groups.
I'm the same way. I just wanted to say though that I just think the way that you make people feel seen by taking the time to do those road trips is just really incredible.
Thank you.
And I know I've seen, people are so excited by it that they take pictures of you guys there and delivering whatever. And
that's actually us. We take this.
Oh, you're doing the pictures? Okay.
Yeah, so we take we take selfie. I take selfies of all of it, because I want to take selfies and I want to take pictures of them with us and with their awards. And then I want to post them so that they still have that acknowledgement of, here they are, they did this thing, and and it's not just their name up on a screen. So
Well, it's really wonderful, and it's a great way to build community and get more interaction about what is happening in your barony. I don't even live there, and I know you're doing these cool things because you guys have been so great about being proactive about letting people know things are happening.
Yeah, we try. We also have a really great social media officer who started, not only we have the Facebook page, but we now have an Instagram and we have a Twitter and all of these things. So having that support has been really helpful too.
It's kind of given us license to explore options and opportunities by not having events, and by kind of just doing our own thing with very little oversight, for better or for worse. It means we can say, hey, this is a cool idea, let's do it. And then afterwards go, well, that was cool, or let's forget that happened. So
have y'all rolled out the TikTok yet?
So I have a couple of friends, and I have a daughter who has gotten me onto TikTok. And that is a dangerous place for someone with my neurodivergence, which is I have ADHD. So that is, definitely like the perfect place for my brain to be, right?
4 hours later.
For hours. But I've really been thinking about it though. I've been definitely considering, and I have talked to you about that. Like, should we do a TikTok? I think that might not be a bad idea. So,
well, I mean, we've done just about everything on Facebook. We have branched out, but
we do Instagram too.
Yeah, we're using the other ones more and more, but also Facebook is becoming less and less user friendly, in my opinion. It's just, there are so many things. I look at my feed and I go, wow, I've got all these people on here, and I see like the same 6 people.
Yep.
And then I see 87 ads.
Yeah.
And they're going away from being a user-friendly platform. So, going over to other platforms and other means of sharing that information seems to be, definitely a thing to do.
Yeah. But that'll be the next one. Definitely is probably a TikTok eventually.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
I think there's so many possibilities with TikTok about things that you could, like viral chains of videos that you could do to build community, or to, even show off artwork or service. I mean, whatever. I think the possibilities are limitless.
Yeah. I've been trying to kind of brainstorm that on what we could do. And we actually had a little tournament at our fight practices last week, and it did feature a rubber chicken,
the star of the show,
and it was hysterical, and there was video taken. So I mean, those kind of things would be great on there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Actual fun being had.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to back up a little bit because I got a little ahead of myself. Who were your main mentors in the SCA?
Oh, that's a good question. So I was apprenticed to Dame Christiana, and we were friends for a long time before that. But I think I was an apprentice for 3 years, 3 or 4. It wasn't very long. And during that time also I had, they were kind of raising us together. So Master Charles was also kind of in that role as well. And they've both been fantastic examples. I would say for me, I feel like I started in a time where there wasn't it wasn't easy to, to get to know people as much. And we didn't have a lot of kind of peers or anything in Glymm at the time. There wasn't a lot of active peers. So I kind of figured out a lot on my own, but there were a few things through the years that really stuck out to me. And that conversation I had with Countess E was a really big one. my first court that I ever attended really stuck out to me, and that was actually um, Bridget and Cedric as Baron and Baroness. There was a Candlemas. The power went out. It was this huge, and it was so cool. And we actually had court by candlelight. It was incredible. I would say probably Dane Guerin was somebody else who in the barony who was really an inspiration to me, and who made me feel like, maybe my art is okay. You know, maybe the things that I'm doing are okay. And also Baron David, who has since passed. David of Moffat, when I stepped in as Herald, really took me under his wing and was really incredible.
He was incredible.
Yeah, he was.
So I am kind of a fringe person in a lot of ways. I bounced around the fringes of a lot of groups, and I have over the years been adjacent to a lot of high profile people in the SCA, and just totally unexpectedly. As I said earlier, the first household I was part of that really got me involved was Staghold out of Atenvelt, and they're still going strong. And the head of the household at the time was the first one that said, hey, we should do fighting. They had been a squire previously, and then it stepped away and then come back and decided we're going to have a siege crew. So I got in armor to be on the siege crew. And 3 years after saying I would never fight, here I am still sort of fighting. But Morgan Staghold, it was part of my life in multiple groups at the time when I was in my mid to late 20s. And strangely enough, right after we stepped up, we got, no, it was right around. I got a message from one of the members of Staghold, Master Gavin, who said, hey, what area are you in Washington again? Is that anywhere near Aberdeen? Yeah, why? Well, Mike and Honor are moving out there. So my original head of household is now a member of my populace.
Wow.
And just totally out of the blue. And
so cool.
It's funny, we've gotten together a few times. Mike and Disa have really kind of, hit it off, and we'll get together, and as we're leaving, she's just like looking at me going like, you two are
Honor clearly rubbed off on him. Like, there are definite things that they both do that are just goofy and off the. It's really entertaining. It's really entertaining.
There's a lot of my interactions with the SCA and my view of how things should be in the SCA that were formed at that point in time. But after I left Atenvelt, I was in Onstiora for a few years while I was in the army, and I mean, small shires, so I didn't meet a whole lot of people there. But coming out of Staghold, the people at the time were a lot of con goers and things like that. So at the time, they were fringe-ish players, but now they are, the person that taught me to sew is Mistress Camille. Camille? I remember as Nola Jurgen. So she changed her name since then. Camille Hazelton, I think is what she's going by now. And people are going to see this and yell at me, I'm sure. But got me interested in sewing and kind of taught me the first lessons and moved along. And I, lost touch over the years. And then when I got here, I kind of got involved with BAO for a bit and then ended up moving down to Glymm. And the first person I met at the time was this mountain of a man named Squire Alexi. And he got knighted pretty quick after that. And my first opinion of the time was not particularly flattering because, I mean, he just waded in and clubbed me like a harp seal. And, after time, I ended up squiring to him and learned a great deal from the man. We parted ways a few years back just due to life going in different directions, but I take a lot of my approach to the SCA now and my interaction with peers in general from him. I've never been a big peer fear kind of person. I am a chain of command kind of person. that has definitely rubbed off. And, I'm not likely to walk up to a peer and just strike up a conversation. It's just not who I am. It's not because you're a peer and I should fear you. It's just you're a peer and I really don't need to schmooze you without a reason, if that makes any sense. But and being up here, her grand Laurel, that Mistress Elizabeth, was one of the first ones that helped me up here and start working on some more period costuming. So I've bumped elbows with a lot of peers over the years, and I've taken a little bit from a lot of them.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Do you have an arts mentor? Are you apprenticed to anyone?
Me? No. I'm squired again. I squired to Sir Brehan, and I have considered it, but I hadn't really found a really good fit. And I was also, when we decided to do this, it was kind of snowballing at the same time when I squired, and taking on a second peer relationship that close was just not something I was looking to do. Also, it's awkward now being a landed baron and also entering into another peerage relationship. But I have got so many different people that have given me their time and their ear. I am part of a household that is, out of 12 people, it's like 7 Laurels. So, I have people that I can talk to.
You're covered.
Yeah.
And, as she said with Countess Elizabeth, Countess E is someone I've talked to off and on through the years and has always given great advice. And, Ontario is blessed with some really great peers who are, really want to look out for you and really want to see people excel.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I won't. We'll see what the future brings.
Well, I didn't mean to imply that it's something that's necessary, because it's not necessary. Everybody doesn't need to be an apprentice. It's fine not to be. That's a totally legit and awesome path to take, especially when you have people that are taking care of you, and you have what you need that you would be getting out of a peerage relationship.
Yeah.
There's no reason to, like you said, kind of complicate things.
Right.
And the peers in the household we're not known for being quiet people, or, if there's an issue, somebody's going to say something. So,
Talking about it, what are your art wonks? What are your passions in the art realm?
Which one of us?
Both
you
of
go
you.
first.
Yeah.
You go first.
So we touched on earlier, I do all my own sewing, partly because it's interesting, partly because I'm cheap, and for what I want, I'm not willing to pay the money that it's worth. So I could find it from other people and better than I could do it, but I'm slowly getting better. I've done a little bit of leatherworking. Mainly I do woodworking. I've made a lot of stuff over the years, and that's my primary one. I've recently gotten interested in blacksmithing, and I got all the setup. Unfortunately, I'm sidelined right now. I dinged up my shoulder, and I'm waiting for that to hopefully heal. Which, when your main active involvements involve swinging a hammer or swinging a sword, and that's the shoulder you screwed up, it slows you down a little bit.
What a bummer.
Yeah.
But I also really enjoy teaching and getting people, interested. We talked earlier with the classes and the woodworking 101 that I did is I've seen people over the years that are, oh, I could never do that. Oh, that's just so difficult. Or where would I start? Or the posts you see online are like, okay, I've got $1,000. What are all the tools I need to buy to do this stuff? And it's just like, slow down. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Let me point you in a direction to get going, so you don't sink all that money into it and then go, oh, well, that's not what I wanted to do at all. But
People
teaching
can find those classes on the Early Sweden YouTube, right?
Yeah.
for better or for worse.
Awesome.
Tag, you're it.
So the big thing that I'm, that has been my focus is posement, which is, it's a 10th century Birka Sweden craft, basically. I mean, it's pretty specific. It's basically a coiled silver wire around a silk core, and then it's knotted. It's kind of like micro macrame, really. We were lucky enough in 2019, we timed that trip really well. And it was also we took the trip to Sweden. We got back 2 weeks before I was elevated, which was really a cool timing too, which we booked the trip before I was put on vigil, but the timing was great. But we were actually able to go in and meet the textile curator of the Swedish History Museum. And we got to go in the back, and because the Posement isn't actually on display. So we were actually able to go into the back and see all of the pieces, and it was so incredible. She just walked in and she pulled out these 3 drawers, and it's all of the Posement that exists. And she's like, okay, let me know what you want to see and I'll pull it out so you can take pictures. And it was just, I didn't speak for a good 5 minutes. He finally was like, are you
If
okay?
you have ever seen the movies, I'm sure we all have, where like the clouds part and the ray of sunshine comes down and the angels sing, that was that moment there.
So on that trip, he was the one that was setting off the museum alarms and stuff, getting too close to everything, trying to get all the pictures of the
I couldn't hear
woodworking.
him.
He can't hear him, that's true. So there's that. I also I love doing antler work. I do composite combs. I haven't been able to do very much of that in the last few years. I have an issue with my wrist, but
And I kind of took over a workbench and piled stuff on it.
took over the workbench. I'm really more of a dabbler. Like I like to learn something and then I move on to something else. I mean, we just set up this incredible lamp working space that hopefully I will be able to find time to use very soon. I mean, he put a hole in the house for it, so I guess I should probably use it. So
Nothing
yeah.
like saying you were a homeowner, but like intentionally putting a 6-inch hole in the side of your house.
For a vent for lamp working. Yeah.
So
Airflow is important.
I have to sort of like go back to the dabbler part, because I would not consider you a dabbler because you made this huge deep dive into Posman. I mean, that was not dabbling. Like you made your own.
That was the thing that that was the thing that I like, that just caught me. It was the thing that just grabbed me, and I went crazy. I mean, I went through, because there's this incredible database for the Historica Museum that
it really is great.
You can go grave by grave and see all of the items. And I actually went grave by grave, individual grave by grave, to catalog the locations of all of the Posement, where they were, what was in the, I mean, that was not a dabble. That was definitely not a dabble. But yeah, that was the one that I definitely, but the other things like, I get really interested in whatever I start to look at. I mean, an example of that is I had a roaring 20s Halloween costume that was, supposed to be for work. And I ended up doing all this research on, the appropriate hats and the appropriate this and that. That was unnecessary. It was a work group, costume. So yeah, I do that.
But that's one of the cool things about, I mean, not your 20s costume, but about the SCA, right? Is that there's so many different rabbit holes to go down and explore, and you can, explore, you can be shallow or you can take a really deep dive, and it just always keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
What was that one that you like to use?
Yeah, I said that on Monday, actually, at the social. I said the SCA is really, the hobby is actually collecting hobbies,
Totally accurate. So you kind of alluded to spreadsheets a little bit in your co-cement tracking. So that's kind of a nice segue into what are your service superpowers?
I feel like my service superpower is finding the need. Generally, I mean, I've taken most offices in the barony at one point or another because it was needed. You know, I was the chief archer, I was the herald, I was, you know, gold key, I was the ANS minister, I was the chatelaine, I was, you know, I've just been, you know, what was needed. Yeah, I mean, I feel like one of the things I love about the SCA is the service, is that, you know, is that community, and whatever you can do to grow that community is so important. But yeah, I mean, and he'll probably say that one of my superpowers as far as that goes is a spreadsheet. I love a spreadsheet. I mean, I have literally created a spreadsheet, and this was before we stepped up. I created a spreadsheet with every member of the populace, what awards they had, when they received them, what awards we thought they should receive. Like, I mean, it's, yeah, I like to plan a lot. I like to plan.
It's the ADHD thing kicking in. When she does
Yeah.
something, there are no
It's the
half measures.
hyper-focus.
It's either 150% or it just, you know, I'm gonna go find something more interesting.
I also would say that my comfort around technology, because I'm able to host all the Zooms, I'm able to do, you know, do that kind of thing and find that solution, you know, technology wise. So yeah. How about you?
That's a hard one. In the SCA, I'm a things guy. I make things, I transport things, you know, I give things away. I like material, the material visual things, and I kind of strive to see that represented. But I don't really have an answer for that one.
I would say making things. You make things and you give things away. Absolutely. I mean, how many cups have you given to the Cups and Caps thing?
I don't know.
So many.
100.
Yeah.
More.
That is a service that is often undervalued,
Yeah,
and underappreciated, and it's super valid, and it is a huge part of what keeps the SCA going.
mm-hmm.
We have all of these, you know, for example, Kai just had their Kingdom trailer broken into, and all of this regalia that people spent thousands of hours making, you know, and doing their time to. That's the heart, you know, and that's huge. Those things are really, really important. So don't undersell that.
No, and I would say a lot of time, you know, like if it's a project that is usually for an elevation, or it is for a barony or the kingdom, he only charges for supplies. That's it. He does not charge labor, you know.
And we won't talk about the swearing and the threats involved. Let me tell you, there have been many threats of firewood to a number of projects of high profile.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. It definitely can be, especially when you know you're going to be seeing things and over and over again, and you notice all the flaws. I'm sure neither of you know anything about that particular, you know, situation.
There's a set of banners that I made over 20 years ago, and there's still the main kingdom banners, and it blows my mind because they're not great.
He sees any flaws in the thrones, right? He sees any flaws that are there, you know, and it drives him crazy.
At Kingdom Feast a few years back, I about had a heart attack when somebody had set one of the thrones up with one of the panels backwards on the feet, and it's dim there, you can't see it, but across the hall I look over and I notice it, and I can see a line running all the way across the panel, and it looks like it's a 1/4 inch deep crack. And it's like they're not even a year old. And I mean, my heart fell out of my chest. I'm just going, oh my God, until I got closer and went, okay, no, that's just a discoloration in the wood because that's the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those things though, when you make regalia, you have to make it and let it go because it's going to get destroyed. I mean, there's a good chance that, you know, it's not going to live a long life, and you have to kind of accept that. And just, it.
You make it as foolproof as you can, knowing that somewhere along the line, somebody's going to make a mistake, or it's going to get dropped or stepped on or sat on, and it's, I wouldn't say I've come to terms with that thought, but it's something I've definitely experienced a few times.
Yeah. So, do we have some pictures to look at?
We do. Let's look at some pictures. Why is it not letting me select a window? It's weird. Let me try that again. It's not letting me, it's very odd.
Technology. It's such a joy.
I still forget how Zoom works. I've been on it so many times in the last year or so. I get out there and it's like, okay, I know how to do this thing. You did the wrong thing. What? Did they change the programming?
There, did that work?
It's starting screen sharing.
Okay.
Can't see it yet, but it says that you have started screen sharing. Can you see the picture?
No. and I lost my picture. Oh my goodness. So I actually don't have a Zoom picture anymore.
Okay, stop screen sharing. Oh, you can't.
I can't because I don't have a Zoom picture anymore.
See if I can kick you off.
If you,
Are you going to
maybe
tell me how to do this? Tell me how to do it.
maybe if you make her not a host and then make her a host again, it might make it happen. Actually, can you minimize the window that you opened?
Yeah.
And this is why I leave it all to her, because
Okay, there we go. I don't know what just happened, but
I actually had on my class about online teaching, my computer, I thought it was plugged in and it wasn't. And my computer died in the middle of my class about teaching, about how to teach online. It was just perfect. You know? There we go.
all right. Is there a window? Or are you doing it?
I'm doing it.
Okay.
I photograph so well. I think my eyes are even closed.
You never, yeah, I know. You always look unamused at everything.
Do you want to talk about these?
Sure.
Let me go to the first one.
Okay.
Come on. So I'm just doing this directly from Messenger, so we'll see how it goes. Oh no!
Too far.
Let's try that again.
There we go.
All right,
Well,
we're going backwards. So we'll start with this one.
Perfect. Okay, that's perfect. So this is actually one of the selfies from our trips after court. This is we actually delivered to a group in the canton. 3 of them had received awards, and then the other one was a map that Sir Brehan had gifted the canton in I believe that was in celebration of them.
Their official acknowledgement of official canton instead of incipient.
Yeah. So this is on one of our road trips, which is truly, like I said, it's one of my favorite things that we've done. It's really it's fun. It's tiring, but it's fun. This was
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. This is, so we kind of had to make a decision when we found out that we were able to start things up again. We had a date already reserved in August for an event, and so we were going to have our championship for our martial things in August. And then when the Delta variant started and things started looking a little scarier, we had to make a decision. And what we decided was to cancel that event, where we would have a lot of people possibly coming from outside the barony, and instead focus on our weekly activities and our, the things that we could do together as a community, because that to us seems more of the lifeline. It seems much more important. And so this was 2 weeks ago at practice.
We have always kind of tried to build, this is coming out of my Atenvelt background a bit more, but we've always tried to build the fight practice is not just for fighters, for the populace to come out as well. Yeah, the fighters are there, you can watch them, it's definitely there to come out and practice and all, but it's also for the populace to come out and socialize and see each other outside of events and kind of, again, build that community feeling. And this is kind of where that's gone.
And there were so many people there, we decided it was really important for us to all take a picture together. One of the nice things is that everyone there is vaccinated. We know that everybody there is vaccinated. We're, it's not a requirement, but everybody who comes to practice is vaccinated, and so we feel a little bit safer, and especially outside, we feel more comfortable. But it was just a really wonderful moment of feeling like, okay, yeah, this was the right decision to make, to cancel that event and instead focus on, and not have the risk of losing the ability to have the other activities because of some sort of exposure. So.
And I think that that's probably one of the most difficult challenges for you right now, is that you are in a position where you're making those decisions.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is. We're pretty lucky as well. I mean, we've got a very good officer corps with us. We've got very good rapport with our seneschal, and so being able to bounce ideas off each other and have multiple perspectives coming on to things really kind of helps as well.
Yeah. How do you elicit commentary from your populace? How do you do that?
So we have a really wonderful seneschal who we are pretty much on the same page about everything all the time. Her ladyship Melissa of Dalmata is fantastic. But we do have conversations with the populace. We do talk, like at fighter practice and at other activities. We'll have conversations with people to kind of get the feel of how people are truly feeling. Because if you don't ask, people are just going to assume, well, everybody thinks it's okay, because no one is saying anything. So, the question has to be asked whether you want to know the answer or not,
And that has been one of the things also is, taking that hard question of, okay, how do you feel about this? Don't tell us what you think we want to hear. Tell us what you actually feel. Ultimately, when you come down to it, our job is to represent our populace. It's right there in the language. We are supposed to be the interaction between the populace and the crown, which by definition means we're representing our populace, we're seeing to their wishes and, and benefit. So what we do, is also just be available, be approachable, so that hopefully nobody in the barony or the canton has any problem coming up and saying, hey, there's this thing I want you to know about. I want, to talk to you, and I want you to be aware of my issues, because if you don't know, we can't address it.
And the decision, I mean, the final decision was on us and on our seneschal for like the event, but we absolutely talked to the populace about it. And really the more people talked about it, the more it was, we don't feel safe, we don't feel comfortable with this. And so that was canceled, and it was definitely a good decision. Thurston County's numbers are pretty high right now. And so yeah.
And with school back inside, I mean, there's just so much going on right now.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah, it really is. And thank you for making those decisions and straddling that line. It's an incredibly difficult place to be.
It is. And the solution that we found is not necessarily the right solution for Bluffino or for Dragon's Lair or for anybody else. But right now, we're not doing kind of indoor activities, but we are doing our outdoor activities. And that may change, but right now, especially because some of them are at our house, and I'm an asthmatic and my daughter is an asthmatic, and we're, so we want to be very careful. And we don't want anybody else to get sick either. So it truly does feel like we don't just have, it is a lot more of, we truly have the safety of the barony in our hands right now. And it's a little intimidating, but but I mean, it is what it is. This picture is from last week at this time. So why don't you talk about this?
Again, one of the other traditions that I bring forth from Maitenville was a baronial court night. Long ago in a barony far away, they used to have baronial court night once a month, which was a court, it was everybody in garb, and there would be announcements about events that had happened or were coming up. People from other baronies would come and plug their events to the barony. This was before Facebook and before the internet was quite as prevalent. Some things, we would get archery rankings would be given out, discussion of people who got awards at events and things like that. So it was just kind of a mini event to get the group together, to keep everybody informed and abreast. And it seemed like, especially now, that was a really good thing to do. People who haven't had a chance or a reason to be in their garb for a year and a half at this point or more, a reason to put on your funny clothes and go hang out with your friends in the park and all just look like a bunch of weirdos to the people driving by, and just kind of have a good time and kind of recharge a little bit of why we do this and why we're still here.
So we decided that last week was going to be the first one. And we kind of, when we made the announcement, we kind of said, there was also a tournament. But the tournament was only open to members of the canton and the barony, because we didn't want a lot of people from outside coming in, because that creates more of an exposure. And this was actually the first time we have sat in those chairs in front of other people, not in our living rooms, not in our dining room.
Yeah.
So it was a really cool day. I mean, it was so much fun. We had just a tiny little court. There was no, business done. It was just a little, just a taste, right? So that people can still feel that connection. And we had 37 people there. It was insane. And it was just members of the canton and the barony. And it was a really, really wonderful day. It was a wonderful day. And it was actually, the next day was the anniversary of us stepping up as Baron and Baroness. So the day before our anniversary, our 1-year anniversary as Baron and Baroness, was the first time we sat in those chairs in front of other people. So
I think that's a great kind of way to recruit too, because you're out
Yes.
kind of doing court in an accessible space that nobody has to pay a fee to get into and experience, which is, I think one of our big failings, but I won't go down that path.
We both with practice and with this, we put out sandwich boards and that have the disclaimer about, COVID and everything, and a little blurb. Who are we? What are we doing? What are our websites? People will stop as, we're in a public park. They'll look at the sandwich boards. They'll read them. If they stick around for a few minutes, somebody will come and maybe go over and talk to them, point them to a website. So it's
We had quite a few people come hang out last time. Yeah, last week, definitely. Yeah, we were noticed.
I have to ask, who made that pottery, because I'm loving those mugs.
So these ones. So these are Gwen the Potter.
They're fantastic.
We did a crazy trade. So he made a beautiful oak box for her, and she made us a beautiful set. There's matching plates and glasses and bowls, and then she actually made us a pitcher as well. They're just gorgeous. I love them.
All right, next picture.
So this
this was her idea. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Actually, I got this idea from the Baron and Baroness of Stromgard. They had posted this idea, and I sent them a message and said, hey, can I use this? Because I just thought it was the greatest idea. We actually went on a road trip, and this was our longest road trip.
The first one, wasn't it?
No, we did one before that for awards, but this was the longest one. I think it was 8 hours, maybe 10, because we went
From up to Tacoma down to Whitlock.
Winlock.
Winlock?
Yeah, it was, and out to Aberdeen. So it was. So we actually we delivered candy. We reverse trick-or-treated. So we delivered candy to all of the kids in the barony, and we got dressed up as Wendy and Peter Pan, and we went and we delivered candy to all the kids in the barony. We let people sign up to do it, and then we did a big road trip. And it's actually Myri and her son Connor, who is a friend of my daughter Katie, who is the one with the flowers in her hair in the corner there. And so we also dropped off candy to her friends, and so that's why we were there as well. But that was a really long day, but
it was worth it.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, that we have been the recipient of both an awards visit and a Halloween visit from Their Excellency Stromgard, and it's super cool. That's a really great idea that they had.
Yeah,
they are awesome people.
Yes. Yep. So there we are. That's Peter Pan and Wendy. we basically tried to come up with, okay, what do we have that we can fabric-wise that we can make something, and it's not going to take too long.
Or
not too much invested in the in the event. And of course, he already had the green bike pocket, so
and the shoes.
And the shoes.
Awesome.
Somewhere I lost a red feather though. I don't know where that got to.
Wow.
So this is I added this picture and because I always just looked at.
If you're ever looking for us, we are very hard to find.
There we are.
Don't believe in spectacle or pageantry at all.
But the other thing about the tent, and and the tent is all painted, and there's this is a picture from this last July. We had a little camp out with the household, and the really cool thing about the tent is it's big. It's a 20 by 30 tent, and it's big enough that we actually use half of it as kind of a seating area for people. So people are always welcome to come and hang out with us and sit with us. And then we actually have enough space that we create rooms in the other half. Part of it is for us. And then we've actually had up to 3 people stay in the rooms. We create partitions so that people, if they can't if they can't bring their tent out,
Or they can only come out for a day.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, they can join us in the tent.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was one of the things that we wanted to do when we stepped up, was make it so that it was easier for members of the barony to go to Kingdom events. And eventually we'll be able to do that. But
It's, you want a space. Everybody wants to feel welcome, and that's definitely one of the barriers to getting to an event is feeling like when you get there you might not have a place to be.
yeah. So this is our dining room. This is where we have done all of our courts and all of our announcements, and this is where we did our videos for the investiture. We clear out our dining room table and all of our chairs, and we just happened to have our dining room painted yellow. That was not a plan, but it is one of the perennial colors, so that's nice. But this is where we've held court for the last year, is there. And Brutus, that's our giant Dane pit bull mix puppy. He's there guarding the chairs at that moment. But yeah, besides last week, this is where those chairs have been set up when they've been set up, is in our house, in our dining room. This
Times.
what was that?
The before times.
Yeah, this is the before times, definitely. This is actually the night before I was put on vigil. But this is our household that we're part of. And it is a group of absolutely amazing people. We've got a few people missing in this picture. Anharad, Giada. Let's see who else is missing here. Alicia.
Yeah.
Alicia.
Yeah.
I said Giada.
No.
And Lonnie is missing too. But the Priory of St. Catherine is our household, and it is an incredible group of people. I always joke, I'm kind of a killer of households. I've joined 3 and they died pretty quickly, or became inactive.
Oh.
But this one, I was there at the beginning of, so I think we're good. But when did we, 3 years, 4 years, something
I
like
don't
that.
even remember.
Yeah, it started off as just the apprentices and the Laurels, Charles and Christiana and Leah, and then their apprentices, and then it has grown from there, and it's an incredible group of people. And
Maybe a little top heavy, but
it is.
Balance your household obligations with your baronial obligations.
There aren't a lot of household obligations. I feel like our household, for the most part, is really there to be the kind of
stepping off point or the recharging point for
Yeah.
people while they go
Yeah.
and do the things that they do.
it's the kind of, yeah, it's the space where we can just be, so yeah.
It's a group of high profile people that is not a high profile group, if that makes any sense.
Yep, it does. It does. All right, well, that's the photos that we have. So I'm going to stop sharing. Rifkin, can you see your screen?
No.
But we can see you, and you look lovely.
Okay. I'm talking, I can hear your voices, and my Zoom says it's working, but I don't actually have a Zoom screen anymore, and it won't come back. So there you go.
We're going back in time to the days of radio.
That's what it feels like.
Flying blind.
You go back to telegraph, I'm out.
I don't know Morse code.
It's good to have boundaries. So y'all have been kind of meeting in person a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really hard to plan for the future because everything changes almost on a weekly basis right now. What are you hoping to have go on in the future? What are your goals?
The next thing I really, really want Yule. I want Yule so bad. It's being planned, and right now that's kind of where we're sitting on it. And I feel like we're kind of sitting on that, like we sat on Crown or whatever, September Crown. It's okay, let's plan for it and let's keep planning for it. And then if it doesn't look safe, then, we'll have to have another conversation, but I want that to happen so bad. And 12th night, I miss people desperately. But in the future, what are our plans for the future?
One of our biggest things going into this that we really, really wanted to work on was building community, getting the group. That Glymm has a lot of people in it that have kind of, I wouldn't say drifted apart, but it kind of, everyone does their little thing. They're in their niche, but the niches were kind of becoming separated a bit. The archery community was here and the ANS community was here. So part of what we were really hoping to do was draw that all back together and bring it back together and get that interconnectedness of all the different groups and the different interests going again, as well as just growing the barony in general. The SCA in general doesn't do as much outreach as it seems like it used to. We don't do as many demos. We've, and this is a terrible expression for this group, but we've kind of coasted on our laurels for a while. And there's a lot of other groups out there now. Your interview last week with Felix and Vivian touched on this a good bit as well. But we're not the only game in town. And we need to evolve and we need to grow. And we're embracing a lot of that with what we're doing online, but we also need that in person as much as we can. But it's really hard to plan for that, to be able to say, well, we know we're going to do this thing. Right now we're, as Her Excellency said, we're hoping for Yule. We're waiting to see whether or not Kingdom will remove the restriction on being able to do food at events. Kind of hard to have a feast without the food, but continuing to just try and grow that. We're getting some new people in, nurturing those people, looking for, how did you find us? What do we need to do to go forward? How do we need to expand that out there and continue so that we can leave the barony stronger than it was handed to us, and we can leave a thriving population that is really moving forward and interconnected, and not only with the barony and the canton, but also with the kingdom in general, and getting out there and exploring everything, because we're not just a barony. We're part of a larger group in the kingdom and a larger group in the SCA and in the world in general. And it's kind of easy to forget that, especially now when our pods have gotten so small out of necessity. So, how can we take that necessity and keep that safety and also grow in a way to encompass more people without losing that safety for the people we already have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really tough spot that we're in. Just so everyone knows, Rifkin had to quit, and she's going to try to sign back in and maybe be functional, because I don't have a way to end this when we're done. And so
We'll just be here forever.
She's rebooting her computer, so we're going to keep talking until she comes back.
Totally fine. I would also say that one of the things going forward is we're not going to get rid of all of the online activity. There will be online activity in Glymm because it is a huge place, and it would be unfair for us to expect, people to drive all the way here all of the time. And it gives people that ability to still keep in touch and not feel like they're alone. And that is or forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important. I really miss events, and I was able to view the live stream of West's Crown this weekend and see people that I know get elevated and win crown and get coronated, and that brought up a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it was really wonderful to see, and I'm so thankful that they live streamed it,
Yeah.
because that was a limited attendance event, right? Because they need to
Yeah.
be small, and they're a smaller kingdom than we are, so it's a
Yeah.
little,
We're huge.
yeah, it's a little bit easier to have events. So I think
Well, and they're all in one country, and that's the big thing for us. I mean, that's what slows us down more than anything is we're in two different countries, so there's a border there.
yeah, and I think if this goes on, I really feel like we need to look at some creative solutions to figure out how to deal with that.
Yeah.
So hopefully that is being done.
Yeah.
And they're definitely out there. We've over this last year, we've seen a lot of content from a lot of different kingdoms and baronies, and finding ways around things and new ways of looking at things, and approaches to doing things that, well, yeah, we never, this isn't the way we've always done it. Well, these aren't the times that we've always lived in.
Yeah.
It's time to look at some new ideas and maybe embrace some new concepts,
Well,
how we go forward.
and we're an aging group. The SCA is an aging group, and one of the reasons for that is because technology has not been embraced quite as heavily. And my hope is that maybe in embracing the technology a little bit more, that will help. That'll make a difference. Adding not just to Facebook, but to Instagram and TikTok and different social media platforms, I think is really important in doing that.
Yeah, and somehow figuring out how to keep longevity with those platforms, and whatever new platforms become a thing once we're able to gather live again. I know that the Office of Social Media officers at every level have been doing a lot of work, and just like, I'm sure, just scrambling to keep up with everything and new tools. So kudos to them.
I'm so appreciative of them. I mean, the web ministers and the social media officers and all of the people who have jumped in and found a way to keep everybody connected and to keep content going, and kudos to you guys for continuing on too, because I know that it's a lot of work, and I know that it's a lot of energy to give, and and I had to find my line of where I needed to be. And man, kudos to you guys you guys are still going, and your families, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. And my husband was doing online stuff too, and he has stopped because he was going into work in person and he couldn't get back in time to, because he commutes into Portland, and that's like sometimes an hour commute. And so that just wasn't working. And with the kids back in school, I don't know, everything's just so fluid, and there's so much to juggle that it's kind of overwhelming.
It is. I mean, after a while, you can kind of shoulder the load for so long and keep soldiering on and keep going and going and going. But I think in a way, did you have something?
Oh, I just I actually opened up our video on my phone so I could see whether the screen sharing was working, and so I'm actually able to see the feed of people talking. So it's just
it's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah.
In a way, we waited so long for everything to open back up, and then we started gradually, and we were looking at numbers thinking, well, it's going to be this date, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be this. And then it seemed like everything just went, boom, we're back open. Yeah, we can do things so fast that everybody went, all right, yes, we can do this. And the persistence and the patience that people had kind of evaporated. And it's people are they're burnt now because they got their hopes back up that things were going to start up again. And now more than ever, it's even more difficult because we put up with stuff for so long and we were patient and we tried to be good and we did all this stuff and we finally got our reward, and then it got yanked out from underneath us.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people are feeling kind of like hurt and like, well,
That was harder than anything.
yeah.
Really was. It made me, to be frank, a little cranky. I have not had the typical patience that I have on Facebook. I have not. I've gotten a little more animated on things. I just don't have the patience. So we did have a question on here.
Okay.
What's your advice for newbies to the SCA?
Oh,
It's a good question.
Marathon. The SCA, in the best of times, is a marathon. It is not a sprint. There are things I have been playing for over 20 years now. You're about the same. I know you've been playing for,
25-ish. Yeah.
The things that people accomplish, they're great goals, but making them the goal really kind of can hamper your enjoyment of the process.
Yeah.
And especially when you're trying to do everything at once, it's hard to do everything well. And you end up, at least in my case, I end up doing a whole bunch of things kind of half-heartedly. Be patient with yourselves. Give yourselves time to grow and to learn, and be patient with things not turning out exactly as you expected them to be. And don't be afraid to ask. If you want to know how
We
things
all
go,
want to help. We all want to help. And if you get a snarky reply or a short reply initially, try again, because we all also are human with lots going on.
Yeah.
that's one of the other things. You can say something.
Yes, but I lost it. So continue, and I will find it again.
One of the things that kind of touching off of that is neurodiversity in the SCA is disproportionately large compared to the mundane world.
Yeah.
And we don't all speak the same language. So yeah, if you get a snarky reply, it might not be meant to be a snarky reply. It might just be that somebody else speaks, they learn differently than you, they teach differently than you, and they're not teaching the language. They're not usually intending to be mean or rude or put you down. They just might not be speaking the language you need to hear.
Also, don't forget, if you talk to one person, they are not the representative of everyone in the SCA. And I always say this to people who are starting or not who are starting. If somebody says something and someone is not nice to you, come talk to me. I'll handle it. I mean, we all need to be a good representative, and we all need to be welcoming. But yeah, we have bad days. Everybody has bad days. Nobody's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And along the neurodiversity line, some of us are just discovering that they are, and it has allowed people this space to kind of learn more about themselves and be more introspective. And we can see Rifkin, but we can't hear her.
I think I'm finally not scrolling in the imminent doom of the little button. So I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Technology, it makes our lives easier.
It's an adventure.
It's always an adventure.
Yeah. So I was going to say, I think coming back in person, we're all going to need to have a lot of patience with ourselves.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of changes that have taken place
on
a level.
I mean, people are, it's been a year and a half. People are not the people they were a year and a half ago, and you're going to see somebody and you are going to, your image of them is not going to be who they are now. I mean, we saw some friends yesterday who we've not seen in a year and a half. And it was just mind-boggling that it had been that long, you know. But
Especially with kids.
oh my gosh, that really brought it home because they had their kids with them. And it was like, oh my gosh, these are like little adults, you know. It's just it was mind-blowing, but it definitely brought that home. Like, it's, you know, it's, you are going to be seeing people who are not the same people they were, you know.
In a lot of cases, I mean, the experience going through this is so vastly different. You know, people who haven't seen each other, you know, there are a large portion of the population that the internet just isn't for them. They do it for work. They don't interact the same way. So there are people that have had very little to no SCA involvement for this entire time, and they're going to be playing catch up. Things that we've talked about, things that we've seen, interviews, classes, things online. And, you know, it's going to take some real work on everybody's part to not let the SCA kind of split into the online crowd and the non-online crowd, and to forge those connections that we've had.
Yeah.
Do you have a spreadsheet for that, Disa? Because I don't know how to make that happen.
I don't either. It's just patience, right? It's going to be a whole new adventure when we really can start regularly seeing each other again in a safe way. It's going to be a new experience, and it's going to be a different SCA. It will be, because it's been a long time and there's been a lot of change. So it will be interesting, but it will be an adventure.
Yep. True facts. Do you have any other questions?
I'm a little bit lost what you've already talked about. So I am going to sit here and nod. And
I'm so sorry.
I am sorry. I honestly don't know what happened. I think maybe my computer's just like enough. So
It's tired. Well, do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about tonight?
Nothing seriously? I can always spin plenty of BS that'll go on for hours, and some of it might even sound legitimate, but I don't think anybody wants to sit there for that. And I am not doing interpretive dance. I have been threatened on that account several times, so we're not going to do that.
Did you guys address the question about what's your advice for newbies in the SCA?
Yes.
Okay, you did. Okay, I missed it.
I think you came in just as we were doing that.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. That's all I have. Sorry, it's like so awkward tonight.
Totally fine.
That's kind of the theme of the SCA, though. It's, you know, like, okay, we're going to have this really awkward moment and we're going to kind of bond over it in a really weird sort of way. And then maybe next time it won't be quite so awkward, or we're going to catch each other's eye across the room and go, yeah, that was really weird. We're going to go the other way and not risk it.
One of the things that I personally am a little worried about going back in person is that I think, in a way, because we've put ourselves, all of us have put ourselves out there, people are going to feel like they know us.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is going to be hard because one, as authentic as I am in this, it's still only a snippet of really who we are. Yep. And we've met so many people over the last year and a half that it's going to be really hard with names, you know, with Facebook and SCA names and all of that. That I hope that people give each other and me grace.
Me too, please. I'm bad with names anyways. So yeah, absolutely. I can completely. Yeah. Space and time to remember names and to understand that, I mean, people have seen our faces a lot and seeing your faces a lot, but we haven't seen your faces a lot. And that doesn't, you know, we're not going to necessarily remember. And not that those interactions aren't important to us and aren't, you know, aren't valid, but it's a lot, and it's a lot during a pandemic. And so it's hard to retain a lot of that information too.
For sure, for sure. And it's been for over a year now. It's been one of my greatest fears that I'm going to see someone in person and not even remember that I interviewed them. Yes, I think we're at
Hundreds.
almost 200 people.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Y'all have been busy.
Yeah,
Very busy.
You guys passed prolific content generators like 6 months ago.
It's been such a gift. And every interview, I mean, honestly, every interview I've learned something. It's been such an honor to have people share their stories with us and to open up a part of themselves with us. It's just been a total gift, and it's kept both. I'm going to speak for both of us. It's kept us both as sane as we have managed to keep. Not saying that we have, but it's been a lifeline for us, for sure.
You've created such a repository of information and the stories that would have been lost or only known to a small group or a local group, and things that are out there that you might have always wondered, well, why is the SCA like this? And the people that you've interviewed collectively that have been here since day one or have been here since and it can say, oh yeah, this is like that. Some of the fighting interviews, oh well, this came about because so and so was doing this in the field and was unbeatable, and everybody's going, well, how the heck do I beat that? And looking back at it and going, okay, now I can see the evolution of this and how that came about. And that's something that's going to be here for quite a while for people to look back on and go, this is where we came from. We as a group, we are terrible about preserving our own history. And I think a lot of times we end up reinventing the wheel over and over and over again because of that.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think that it's because we're reinventing the wheel, it keeps us from moving forward with new technology and new ways of being. And I hope that we are able to do that from here on out.
Absolutely.
We'll see. I don't know. Well, thank you both for your time this evening. And it's been really nice to talk to both of you.
It's been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you both for all you've done over the last 2 years. It's really has been amazing, and
Thank you.
you guys have been quite the beacon.
Yeah.
Thank you. As have you. So thank you guys as well.
So next week we have Baron and Baroness of Terra Firma, Clovis and Shamina, I think is how you say it.
I was not sure. I love how she spells it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Shamina. And they too have done a ton of classes and have been really engaged. And I'm looking forward to talking to them both.
Yeah.
Very enthusiastic people.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close down the live stream. Thank you again for your time, and thank you everyone for watching.
Fine.
We'll see you next week. Good night.
Night.
Didn't stop.
Stop.
Can't stop it now.
We're still on. Let me see if I can